Back with another redo of a what if, and I hope you like this video. And of course, it's Little Ninja back with this video, and it is what if Deku had the omnitrix redo of what if Deku had the omnitrix. So yeah, I redid it because, to be honest, I wasn't working on it that much this time. I'm going to be working on this what if all next week and the rest of this week. So, yeah, a lot of parts for this is coming out. So don't be expecting a Naruto what if. It's going to be all what if Deku had the Omnitrix for this week and the next week now. So get ready. So, basically, most of the things are going to be the same, but Izuku has everything unlocked from every Omnitrix, and it's basically the ultimate Omnitrix. Like, it's the best one. I'll get into that later. It's Little Ninja time. We start off with a battle, like another, with hits being a meteor crashing to Earth, with a 10-year-old Deku on a trip with his father and his mother, trying to gather firewood for their camping. So with this, a meteor lands right in front of Deku. Well, Izuku, and he is surprised. He's like freaked out more than anything else, and then he goes forward to see what this thing is, and he realizes the whole thing is made out of metal. He goes closer to this metal orb, and it opens with a green light flashing forward. With this, a symbol would appear, and an hourglass symbol. The watch would glow and then latch onto Izuku's arm, and after that it would start changing into different forms until finally reciting into a state that felt most like a watch, which would be the omniverse version of the Omnitrix, just with black without the white being black and the green being darker green. With this, Izuku does not know what in the world just happened, and he starts poking at the watch, and eventually a dial pops up, and he doesn't know what to do with that. He pushes it back down, and he transforms. Well, at least he thinks he's transformed, but really he did transform, and he is Heat Blast, or a Pyronite, whatever you want to call it. Okay? It doesn't matter what you want to call it. It's a Pyronite, it's Heat Blast. It's one of the most powerful alien. It's a very good alien. Ben's first alien, so I felt like it should have been Deku's first alien as well. With this, Deku would look around looking for the symbol, and he would find that it's on his chest. Izuku would tap at it and would turn back into his regular self, thinking, oh goodness, I'm glad I can transform back into my regular self. And Izuku starts looking around the Omnitrix as well, seeing many different functions, ultimate transformations, freaking fusion transformations, armored transformations, and really lots of different silhouettes throughout the whole thing. With this, Izuku would look at this and would basically think, what in the world is happening? With this, Izuku would begin to look around and go back to the campsite that his mother and his father is at. With this, he would explain the whole thing, and at first they thought that he was just telling a neat little story, but no. Izuku would show them that this watch transformed him into an alien, and he could possibly become a hero with this. Izuku saying this, Inko would begin to think no, because then somebody might be looking for it. They don't just shoot something into orbit, and if they are shooting something into orbit, that means that aliens exist. And with that revelation, Inko wants to immediately give the watch back to whoever actually owns the watch and who has made it. Izuku, deciding that his mother is correct, trying to pry it off as soon as it came onto him, he thought it would come off just as easily. But no, it is stuck onto Izuku, very, very much stuck onto Izuku, and it's look like it just doesn't want to come off. Izuku showing his mother this, his mother thinking maybe they have a special way to take it off if they made it like this. Izuku thinking, yeah, whoever wants it is going to come for it eventually. So we time skip 5 years later. And I know what you're thinking. 5 years later, that sounds like something you've heard before. And yes, it is something you've heard before. But 5 years later. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then just look up 5 years later. You'll find very good story, a very, very good fan fiction. It's not canon to the actual story of Ben 10, but I like to think that, like, yeah, this is what would happen if it was 5 years later in the timeline. So yeah, Izuku would learn a lot about the omnitrix, him actually having master control. Now I'm going to explain all the functions of this omnitrix. Now, first function is like it regularly is. It can basically, he can transform into aliens. That's the main function of the omnitrix. And the other function is planetary restoration, which he can, the omnitrix restores a whole planet that has died out, meaning any alien that is inside of the omnitrix, he can revive that alien like it was nothing. Now let's get back to basically what Ben 10 used it for. The other functions include ultimate, fusion, armored, omega forms, and I'm going to explain these on detail. Ultimate, well, yeah, it's ultimate. Omega is a more powerful form of ultimate, evolving the alien more than what Albedo made it for. Fusion now not only fuses 2, but can fuse up to 5 aliens, and it can go above 5, but it causes the DNA inside of the user to be scrambled, meaning that Izuku won't be normal anymore. So it's only going up to 5. So yeah. The next thing, armored, it's from the rebooted version of Ben 10 and is basically like his armored aliens, but it's on every other alien. Also, Izuku has access to all of his aliens with this, so yeah. Because Izuku kept the watch for 5 years instead of Ben 10 keeping it for 1 year, then taking it off, then getting a new Omnitrix every other season. So yeah, this is the full version of the Omnitrix. It has all the other abilities. With this, he does not have a time limit, but with that, I'm giving him another thing. The extra functions make it so that he gets tired when he uses them. While regular transforming, yes, he gets tired after it passes 30 minutes. Deku will begin to get tired because of the transformation, and if he stays in it for about 20 minutes longer, which is about 50 minutes, then he will eventually pass out. And that's with him learning it for 5 years, so yeah. When he was first starting out, he did not have master control, just let me tell you that right now, because I know y'all wouldn't like me giving him master control if I gave him the Omnitrix when he was 15. So yeah, I gave him the Omnitrix when he wasn't 15. How about that? So let's get back into this story of this amazing what if. Izuku would have shown this to Bakugo really not caring, but still thinking of Izuku as a deku, meaning that Izuku had been called a deku most of his life still, with Bakugo thinking that the omnitrix, his quirk, air quotations, quirk, is not really that great compared to his quirk. Izuku not showing all the functions of the omnitrix, because then that would start to get suspicious, only wanting to show the capabilities that he can show. He thinks that he can show. Izuku would actually still take the main route that he took before, but instead of getting attacked by the sludge villain, Izuku would have transformed into Big Chill and let the sludge villain go through him, and the sludge villain would have just frozen. So yeah, All Might would have gotten the sludge villain, and Izuku wouldn't have to ask him about becoming a hero, because Izuku is pretty confident right now. He has had the Omnitrix for 5 years. 5 years with the Omnitrix. He has had that time to basically get used to the power of this amazing watch. Now, Izuku would go back to his house, and of course, Hisashi would not be there. I'm saying this because in this timeline, Hisashi didn't leave them, he died. So, yeah. Izuku would have gotten his training in, but he wouldn't have learned anything new. He would have just gotten a longer time, not that much longer. I say like 10 minutes longer, and yeah. So basically, he can stay inside of alien form for an hour before passing out. Izuku would basically get ready for the UA entrance exams, and that would be the month's worth getting ready for the UA entrance exams. Now, Izuku would use the rest of his time to figure out the other things that he can do. He's already known about Ultimate. He just hasn't had the time to use them. The rest of the months would go to Izuku using the rest of the functions of the Omnitrix. Invisible mode, which makes the Omnitrix totally invisible, so that from trackers and from sight, meaning that no one can see the Omnitrix and nobody can track it. Izuku would keep the Omnitrix inside of this form for most of the time that he has. Unfortunately, invisible mode does not work when Izuku is inside of a transformation. Another thing that was added to the Omnitrix that I would have thought should have been added inside of one of the actual seasons is the Omni weapon, which can absorb DNA and make it into multiple weapons, such as a sword or hammer. With him also using fusion, he would have found out many different fusions that he could use, or as he likes to call them, combo aliens. Izuku would have used the time to think of theories about who made the Omnitrix, and he would have found Galvan form and a Galvan mechamorph form, which he learned what they were called with gray matter looking into the Omnitrix, which, if you did not know, is the Galvan form that I am talking about. Galvans being one of the most smart aliens inside of the whole universe. Izuku figuring out many of the different alien names with his Galvan brain basically telling him the names, because again, Galvans are smart, and add that to an already smart Izuku, you really get a powerhouse of Izuku. With this, Izuku would use the rest of his time to basically use 10 more aliens, because really he's only been using the first 10. And like Asma said, they have slots which they are put in. Izuku can access all of them on the all slot, but slot 1 is what he usually has, consists of the main 10 aliens, and slot 2 consists of the other added 10 aliens, which is from Alien Force, and then so forth and so on, and it just keeps going, basically. So with this, Izuku's training would be done, and Izuku would make his way to UA after the months had been up. Izuku meeting Uraraka and actually getting her name, him passing his name on, and no, the ship is not Uraraka X Izuku. Just to let you know that right now. Izuku would make his way in and sit next to a black-haired girl, and we all know who this is. It's Momo Yaoyorozu. So, yeah. Izuku would be the second one to finish, with the girl next to him finishing before him, and him also getting second place inside of the writing portion of the exams, with the practical portion, Yaoyorozu also being inside of Izuku's sector, which this time Izuku's in Sector A with Momo and a couple of people that's going to be in his class, such as Kirishima, Ida. I'm just putting Ida here because why not? And that would probably be it. So yeah, Izuku would see the doors opening and would immediately transform into Accelerate, just bashing through all the robots at once, and then would transform into Forearms to bash in more what's the names? More robots. I don't know how I forgot that. More robots. And he would be just racking up points, just destroying different robots and transforming back into his human state because he thinks, yeah, I got enough points. And yes, I think Izuku got enough points doing this test. Izuku would then see a black-haired girl under some rubble and would hear boom, and just a giant robot would appear. Izuku, deciding just to make a big impression, would jump off the building, then transform it into way big, and would just slam that giant robot into the ground, completely crushing it. Izuku would then transform back to normal, then transform into Forearms, and then get Momo out of the rubble. And he would ask her name, and obviously, it's Momo. Izuku would take Momo back to the recovery girl, and Momo would be healed. Izuku would be placed in first with 20 hero points and 100 villain points, with him having 120 points altogether. Izuku would be so happy, and he would get home to a meal of katsudon, which I'm pretty sure is Izuku's favorite food, and I don't know, I forgot if it is or if it isn't. I'll have to check later, and I'll correct it later, I guess, inside of a later video. So yeah, Izuku would use the rest of the week to train, and would go, with the next week coming sooner than usual, Izuku would go to UA and basically get to class 1A. Izuku, looking around his class, immediately seeing Bakugo, which Bakugo would see him and immediately go over. Bakugo berating Izuku, saying that a deku like him could not get inside of this great UA school, asking him how did he cheat. Izuku would say, I didn't cheat. I used my powers to get in better than you, and I got first place. Look at that, Bakugo. The best person around just got beat by a deku. Bakugo, not taking kindly to this, starting to crackle his explosions inside of his hands and would try to slap Izuku, but it immediately would get stopped by Aizawa. And that is where I will be leaving it off today. I hope you liked the video, and I hope that you watch more of these videos. Without further ado, Little Ninja out.
Down, 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 down.